Do you guys want to watch me open a toy? Greetings and welcome back to another Star Wars-licious episode of the Vodkast. I'm your host, as always, Jason Oliveira, and with us today is Wrescker. Wrescker from the Bad Batch from Star Wars. I don't know if you guys know this about me or not, but I am a huge Star Wars nerd. I love Star Wars. Star Wars has been a part of my life since I can remember. The very first memory of life I can remember is sitting in the theater with a bunch of my family in 1978, 3 years old, watching Star Wars and watching the X-Wings and the TIE Fighters just tear across the screen, and it'll always be embedded in my memories. I'm glad that it's one of my first memories, or my first memory. I don't think I can remember anything else before that. But Star Wars has changed and evolved over the years, and some of it you love, some of it you hate, some of it I've loved and hated as well. But one thing that I do love is their animation, and all of their series, from Rebels to Clones to the Bad Batch, all of them have been super phenomenal, headed up by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and they make an amazing team of nerds that love Star Wars and know Star Wars, so you end up with an amazing product like The Mandalorian or whatever. Anywho, I have one of these, but I happen to be out at Ollie's today, and they had a bunch of Star Wars figures on for like $10 each, and I had to resist because I just wanted to grab all of them. I was like, you can't ever get those for that price. They always end up going up in price, and then you can't get them. All the other Bad Batch, I have some of the Bad Batch, but not all of the Bad Batch. Two of the Bad Batch that are missing are very expensive and hard to get. So I wanted to get one that I could open, though, because Wrescker is like one of my favorite characters, and I love how, oh God, I can't remember the girl's sister clone name. Anywho, whatever it is, she calls him Ricka. She's got that accent. So I want to have an open Wrescker anyway that I can have out and pose and put out in the background for you guys to check out. So I thought I would get it because I'm not going to ever be able to buy it for that cheap ever again. This is a little hard to do. I've been a collector, and most of my toys, or most of my collectibles, I should say, are still in the box. A lot of them happen to be action figures. When I was growing up, and I grew up with Star Wars figures first, that only had really their range of motion was, they didn't have elbows, they didn't have knees, their heads turned, but when G.I. Joe came out, and all of a sudden all the shit in the Kung Fu grip, and you could twist them and turn them and wrestle them, and that was just amazing to me. When toys evolved from like the stiffness of Star Wars to the mobility of G.I. Joe, and then what the hell happened with He-Man? Like, He-Man went back stiff again. I mean, some of the figures were okay, but nowadays, when McFarlane took the market by storm in the 90s, like the early 90s, mid-90s, and he started producing the articulated figures with 82 points of articulation, or even the ones that were just sculptures that like pretty much he could only move a little bit. They were amazing. The sculpts, the paint job would finally reach this level of figures that were quality. And then several years later, they were able to kind of like mix the two of them. Like, McFarlane's best sculpts all of a sudden were becoming available on very posable figures. I have quite a few of the newer stuff. It's really nice. Quite a few of the newer things. It's really nice. Proper grammar, folks. This is going to be a whole new channel if I have to start unboxing toys. We're going to need to have some income coming in for that because, a $3 box of cookies is no problem, but $10 action figures, or this is I was lucky finding something like this for $10. Nowadays these retail anywhere from like $19.99 to $29.99, usually $24.99 being the happy ground there, and I refuse to pay that for an action figure that when I was a kid I would have paid $2 for. I know inflation, things change, time moves on, but the fact of the matter is, it's like, I'm not going to get on a high horse for very long, but just bear with me for a minute. So minimum wage has kind of done this over the last 60, 70 years, whereas top CEO pay has kind of done this. So you're dealing with a market where like this is now probably less than it was to manufacture back in the 70s because of machines and not having to pay people. And now like it's more the did you see the disconnect there? Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's all things. It's not just action figures, but I mean, the whole market is affected by it. Everything. Eggs, with the exception of, our recent spike in egg prices, which, is deserving. Eggs have been pretty staple across the way, I think. This is the scary part. Like, I don't want to break anything. I don't want to damage anything. I should have done that more in front of the camera so you guys could have seen it better. But there he is, Ricka. I've been dying to see him with his helmet on because he doesn't come with his helmet on in the package because they want to show you that you can take it off. Now, how does this go on? I don't want to break his head. Come on, Wrescker. Let's get your mask on. You got to get your helmet on so you can go do battle. There he is. I have a little Wrescker that I can pose. Let's put his little backpack on. He needs to be out in the field anyway. Maybe he's camping tonight. Who knows? Gonna sit by the campfire, tell some stories of the Clone Wars and all the different fights he's been a part of throughout his life. Wrecker's a cool character. He's one of my favorite new characters in the Star Wars universe, and I'm glad now that I have one that I can pose and put out, and he can go over here and say, hey, guys, how you doing? I'm Wrescker. All right, that's my best Wrescker impression. I don't know. If you guys like watching me unbox toys and shit, let me know. Maybe that's something we can get into. I've got years of toys in the attic, and I'd be more than willing to open some of them. Other ones I want to keep in the box, though. He's looking at you kids. Hey, I'm Wrescker. I'm going to shoot you in the mouth. Well, whether it be action figures or candy or cookies, I'll always be here one way or another. Until I stop drawing breath, there will be a Vodkast, and I'm really enjoying these. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the Vodkast. And if you're loving the stuff that I'm creating as much as I love creating the stuff you're watching, you should consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and then hit the little bell icon because it'll let you know every time I put out a new video. Don't forget to make somebody smile today. Make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today, tomorrow. Let's make the world spin a little bit happier together. Let's sing and dance, and the sun and the rain is one, my brothers and sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every moment of it because you just never know when that last moment's going to come for you. However, never live in fear of that moment. Always live in love and never let your inner child die. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care of those around you who cannot take care of themselves, for they are the ones that need it the most. I'm Jason Oliver, and this is Vodkast. I'll catch you guys a little bit further on down the road. Later on, everybody.
Don't go to sleep with a catch it in your pocket.